This video is brought to you by NetSuite by Oracle. If you're a CEO who's tired of QuickBooks or tired of the nonsense of running multiple programs, then upgrade to NetSuite to more effectively run your company. The Houston Texans have hired a new head coach, David Culley, he's a new head coach. They gave him a 5-year contract. He had 3 titles this past year with the Baltimore Ravens. He was the assistant head coach, he was the passing game coordinator, and he was the wide receivers coach. I thought it was a big surprise. I did not expect, and I don't think anybody expected, this guy to be hired as a head coach. I didn't know he was on the market. I don't know he was out there. Kind of reminds me a lot of the Lions, where the Detroit Lions are such a bad organization. They had to hire somebody that maybe nobody wanted because the reality is nobody else wanted the job and was willing to take the job. By the way, the Ravens were last in passing in the NFL. Interesting to hire. And part of that's because of their offense. It's not, people say that, it's not entirely fair. Like, they were a team that heavily runs the football. But it is weird to hire the passing game coordinator from the worst passing team in the NFL to be your head coach. And again, it's because it's a bad job. It's not even, any criticism I have of this hire has nothing to do with David Culley, really. It's not really his fault. It's just that he's entering a terrible situation. I think even a good coaching hire would have failed. If you hired Eric Bieniemy, who I think is fantastic, I think he would have failed, in Houston. Houston is awful. They're poorly run. They've got a bad owner. They got a bad front office. They're the worst team in football. They interviewed Josh McCown to be a head coach. He's never been a coach in the NFL before, let alone a head coach of the Houston Texans. It makes no sense to me. It's very weird. I feel bad for David Culley. It feels like he's the only coach who is willing to take the opportunity. I want to say the guy has no chance, but I will say this. I hope that what happens is Houston trades with the New York Jets. If the Jets give Houston the number 2 overall pick, and then the Houston Texans can draft Justin Fields, David Culley, with Baltimore's background with Justin Fields and another first-round pick or 2 from New York, that's the best chance they have to do anything positive in Houston. And if that happens, I will have an open mind. But I feel bad for David Culley. The owner is the real problem there. The owner is terrible, Cal McNair. And then Jack Easterby, the guy who's kind of a symptom of the owner, he's also awful. Likely, this guy David Culley is going to fail in Houston, but not all that is his fault. Whether he's a good coach or not, it doesn't matter. The situation there is terrible. And honestly, I'm just glad that the offensive coordinator from the Kansas City Chiefs, Eric Bieniemy, has been spared. Thank goodness. He's got a good spot right now in Kansas City. He's got Patrick Mahomes. He's in a good location. He's winning a lot of games. I think what he should do, Eric Bieniemy, should either wait for an amazing job opening, maybe a team with a great quarterback comes open, hey, take that job, or replace Andy Reid when Andy Reid eventually does retire. So whatever, Eric Bieniemy has the upper hand. He does not need to take a bad job. This was not a good opportunity, in my opinion, for Eric Bieniemy. He's better than that. And I'm really glad it's David Culley and not Eric Bieniemy. I feel bad for David Culley. I think he's going to fail. But I will say again, if they trade for the number 2 overall pick, they draft Justin Fields, that's their best shot to win again in Houston with David Culley and with their new quarterback in Houston.